Hello everyone, hope everybody's doing great today. I appreciate those of you who watched this video. I hope you enjoyed. Also appreciate those of you who have subscribed. Thank you very much. Today we'll be talking about James Bond and For Your Eyes Only. Before we get into this movie, this is my top 12. This is the 12th James Bond, if my calculations are correct. Sometimes I have trouble counting by beyond the toes here, the fingers. But this is what I say, the top 12 of James Bond. This is the order I have them in. Number 12, I have Diamonds Are Forever. Number 11, You Only Live Twice. Number 10, Thunderball. Number 9, Moonraker. 8, Spy Who Loved Me. 7, Dr. No. 6, Live or Let Die. 5, The Man with the Golden Gun. 4, For Your Eyes Only. We'll get into that movie here in a minute. Number 3, Golden Finger. Number 2, In Her Majesty's Secret Service. And From Russia with Love, I have number 1. That's how I got these first 12 movies ranked. Let me know below, how do you have these movies ranked? Interested in hearing your thoughts. What do you guys think is the best movie of the top 12? I was planning on doing this list like every 5, but I kind of lost count. Like I said, would get to like running out of fingers there. Anyway, so when I get to number 15, I'll do another list of the top 15 James Bond movies in order. Anyway, so let's get in For Your Eyes Only. If you don't know what this movie is about, basically what this is about is there's a device that can encrypt codes, and James Bond's trying to get it before his enemies. And our leading lady here, her character's parents were murdered. She's out for revenge to kill the people who killed her mother. And so, inadvertently, James Bond and her work together to get revenge for her family and for him to save the world and get this encryption device before, I believe it's the Russians who are the bad guys this time. This movie does kind of pay a homage to On Her Majesty's Secret Service. We see at the beginning of this movie, Roger Moore, James Bond visit his wife's grave, which, kind of keeps that canon. Also, I believe this movie takes place, or they go back to the place where him and his wife not really met, but where they kind of team up with each other. She saved his life as he was running away from the baddies as they go to this ski resort. And I guess there's like is it the Olympics? Maybe it's the Olympics, or I guess it's the Olympics. Some kind of competition there. Maybe it's the Winter Olympics. I don't know. I don't even know if it says in the movie or not, but who cares, right? So we'll get into this movie. This movie does have some great action scenes. The action scenes are fantastic in this movie, but they have one problem that at the beginning really threw me off. I didn't really like this movie at the beginning of it, at the start. And the problem with this movie is the chase scenes, while they're fantastically done and shot and very well choreographed, and the photography on them is fantastic. The music, the chase scene music is horrible. Horrible music really takes you out of the moment that you're watching. If you want to know what the popular music is at the time, you can watch a James Bond movie and it kind of gives you the idea of what popular music was at the time they were made. And they kind of use, I guess, the popular music for these chase scenes. But it's terrible music to use for a chase scene. Like I said, totally throws the rhythm, the atmosphere of the movie off. I couldn't stand it. I almost think it would be better to watch these chase scenes on mute. And it's kind of bad because they're for really good chase scenes. Some of the best chase scenes in the James Bond universe up to this point, and maybe all time. The first one we have is the car chase scene. And, this yellow car they have is tumbling down mountains and hills. And, it's still surviving. It's taking its bangs, but it keeps on going. It's indestructible, basically. Then you have the ski resort chase scene, which is fantastic. You got James Bond doing a 360 in the air. Maybe a 720. I'm not sure. He's jumping off hills, landing on houses, and skiing down them. It's fantastically done. A lot better than On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Unfortunately, like I said, the music really takes you out of the moment that you're watching on the screen, and you're like, what am I listening to? It's very distracting, and I don't know. Whoever was the composer of this should be fired. Should have been fired, but it was terrible. The more accurate scene music to accompany what's going on the screen was kind of in between The skiing chase scene was kind of broken up in two halves. And then there's a part where he's kind of like hiding from the bad guys. That music was very well done, very well fit the mood that you're looking for. It's just the action scenes. They dropped the ball completely. And it kind of took me out of the movie. It kind of gave me a big negative impact. It wasn't for that music. I might put this like number 1, number 2 all time James Bond as a James Bond movie. I have to say this, like I really loved it. Like I said, I had it number 4. My wife watched this with my wife. She hated it. She thinks it's like the worst Roger Moore movie. So, difference of opinion. Interested to see what you guys think of this Roger Moore movie. You think it's one of his best ones? Or is it one of the worst, like my wife said? However, so, I don't know. I really did enjoy it, except for that music. Looking at my notes here. I guess I couldn't forget, the movie starts off with James Bond in a helicopter ride from hell, courtesy of good old Bloomfield. You can't kill James Bond right off the bat. They have to have fun with him. Costs him his life as James Bond's ever to regain the control of the helicopter. And kills Bloomfield for his true revenge of his wife. Like I said, I think this movie does pay a lot of homage, callback, whatever, to On Her Majesty's Secret Service. You got the wife's graveyard. You got James Bond killing the guy who killed his wife, and then they go back to the ski resort that I'm pretty sure his wife was in when they first met. So there's a lot of callback to that movie, and you kind of get those hints. If you've never seen On Her Majesty's Secret Service, you probably don't really probably don't really understand, like, oh, James Bond was married, he killed Bloomfield. He's obviously the head bad guy, but why does James Bond really hate this guy? And then the ski resort would just go over your head because he doesn't really say anything and there's no really recall about him beating or helping his wife, helping him escape the bad guys in that movie. I guess that's that. Like I said, the James Bond girl here, played by Carole, Bouquet or something. I cannot pronounce names worth the life of me. The only reason I can pronounce Carol's because I have an aunt named Carole. Anyways, she is a very good Bond girl. She's capable of holding her own. She's competent. She's deadly with the crossbow. You got to give her props for that one. And maybe she might be the most competent of all the James Bond girls, except for his wife. His wife was very competent, saved his neck, and she was able to hold her own too. And unfortunately, the only reason she died is because they got blindsided there at the end. Too much love, kissing and stuff like that. And then, they got it in the end. She took a bullet for the man. But I think she's probably one of the better James Bond girls. I mean, even in the Spy Who Loved Me, Barbara Bach's character there, the Russian spy, she was kind of iffy with her abilities, right? I'm talking about up to this point. Of course, we get later on to like Halle Berry. She's very capable. And then Michelle Yeoh, whatever, however you say her last name. And Tomorrow Never Dies. She really kicks butt. But up to this point, I would say, she's like maybe the top tier of the Bond girls in her ability to, to go work side by side with James Bond. We got the underwater scene here. Thunderball was the first time we saw her underwater in James Bond, and it was hit and miss. Unfortunately, it was more miss, especially on action scenes. And this one, they got their practice in, and maybe it's because of technology in the movie business, but it looks a whole lot better. In this movie, there's no really any bad shots. Everything's clear. The action is right there. You actually see what's going on the screen. It's beautifully shot. Got to give them thumbs up for the action scenes. You kind of see some of the Jaws theme in here. Of course, this is another movie with the sharks. Another shark scene. This is like the 4th James Bond movie where there's a shark trap. So we have a little shark trap this time. James Bond and his lovely lady are being dragged across the ocean as line bait for these sharks, trying to get him cut up so the sharks will smell his blood and eat him. All I had to do is put some laser beams on the shark, and then they would have shot him with their laser beams. But, they've tried to go fishing and use James Bond as bait. I don't know. Is this the last? I'm trying to think of future movies. Is this the last James Bond movie where it's shark bait? where they're using shark traps. I don't know. I'll have to keep watching it, I guess. The next one's Octopussy. It's been a long time since I've seen Octopussy. I can barely remember it. But I'm trying to think of other ones. Unless the Timothy Dalton ones have a shark trap, I think this might be the last shark trap in a James Bond movie. Like I said, laser beams would cover it all. We got Julian Glover. He's at first you think he's the main villain. This movie does a very good job of tricking you and thinking who's the main villain. But Julian Glover plays his role very well. He's a very conniving villain, and he just knows how to. He's very underhanded and knows how to hide his cards very well. I thought he played his role awesomely, if that's a word. It's not a word. But anyways, I thought he was a convincing villain. Maybe one of the better James Bond villains out there. Up to this point, I think Christopher Lee was probably the best. And then, he might be up there in the top 5 playing that role of a villain. We got Christopher Walken coming up in a couple movies with A View to a Kill. And he does a great James Bond, too, because Christopher Walken's great. But I feel like he really held his own in this movie, did a great job. I do think this is probably one of the better Roger Moore movies, if not the best Roger Moore movie. I got 2 to go. I'm not a big fan of A View to Kill. It's one of my wife's favorites. I've seen it like 100 times, so I'm going to rewatch it just to see, get a new feel for it. But she really loves A View to a Kill. She's always watching it. But to me, take away Christopher Walken is like the only highlight of that film. I think Roger Moore is probably really tired of the role of James Bond at that time. And I think, it tells in the movie. But anyways, that's my commentary on For Your Eyes Only. What do you guys think about this movie? Do you think it's Roger Moore's best movie, his worst movie? Where would you put it at in the James Bond photography there? Anyways, have a great day. Until next time, see you later. Bye.